Okay, let's say that we are given 3t squared plus 7t minus 10. And I know this is a quadratic. Why? Because that power is a 2. And I want to factor this and set the factors equal to 0. Now you can do this one or two ways. I will be honest with you, I do it the guess and check way. But I'm going to show you another way, guess and check, because sometimes this can get a little crazy. I know the only way to get 3t squared is 3t and t, right? So now I look at this term and I try to figure out what could I add to get this middle term. And so I'm going to put a 10 here and a 1 here. Why? Because 10 minus 3 you're going to see will give me that middle term. When the middle term is positive, then the larger value needs to be positive. This needs to be negative to get a negative 10. And you can multiply this out. 3t squared minus 3 plus 10, and that would give me my 7t. And now I set both of these factors equal to 0, t minus 1 equal to 0, and put an or there. And so I get 3t equals negative 10. And so this one's going to be negative 10 over 3. And this simply would be t over 1. So those would be my answer. Now, a lot of times, especially if you're new to factoring, students don't like that way, right? Because they're like, well, how did you know to put a 10? Because you could have put a 5 and a 2. And again, I'm kind of looking at my eye on the prize in this middle. But there's another way to do this. It is called the AC method. And what you do with the AC method is remember that this is what a quadratic function looks like, where the first term is a, in our case is 3. This is b, and then c is negative 10. So the AC method says to multiply those two, get it, a times c, and then list all the factors of the AC. And what you're looking for is the two things that you list will add to get B. And so, I mean, I can sit here and say, well, you could have negative 130. Well, if I add those, I mean, that's going to be like way too big, right? And I can continue to do this, 2 and 15. But then if you're kind of thinking ahead, well, what if you think 3 and negative 10? Here, a very large plane going by. Well, that would be negative 7. I need a positive 7. So how about the factor negative 3 plus 10? Oh, that works. So once you find two factors, okay, two factors of a times c that you can add to get this middle term, then what you do is we're going to do factor by grouping. We are going to change this middle term into a minus 3t plus a 10t. So convince yourself that that is that, right? And now we can do by grouping. We can factor out what a 3t, so we're left with t minus 1. Plus we can factor out a 10, so we're left with a t minus 1. Factoring by grouping, t minus 1, and then 3t plus 10. And then of course now you can go do these same steps here. I don't know why I've always liked the guess and check, but I'll do a couple of more examples with the factor by grouping. And again, be sure and you solve this. T minus 1 equals 0, t equals 1, and same as I solved up there. Some students like the AC method. I'm just lazy, I think, because this is a lot more work, right? A lot more steps. And so I just kind of visualize it and try to guess, but I will try to work these both ways. So you can pick your way.